Yeah, I have another fantastic quote from the book, in which, Donna, you've written, in human society, to lower your head is to show respect to another person. Someone who walks with their head raised or held high is a sign that they have respect for themselves. Having that relationship with God, with the light, is I was forced to look up. He caused me to raise my head. A relationship with God causes us to respect ourselves. And I finally realized respect was not found in what I thought about myself. There was nothing to gain in this life relying on what others thought of me, but in what God believed about me. I love that. I know that as you shared at the beginning, there's a lot of the very low lows and a lot of the very high highs in relation to these encounters with God and the revelations that he was bringing you along the way, in and through the low lows and the tangled thorns and weeds that you share of in that garden extract. I guess the question I have for you is, was your experience of God and this relationship in which you share in the book, and you shared about the liberty and the freedom that truth has really brought to you as you've developed your relationship with him, did that come from you really intentionally actively seeking God, or did it come from him actively seeking you in your low lows, in your experience, in your story?
I don't, it's a bit like the chicken and the egg, and I don't know which came first and which influenced the other. I would say I've always had a strong and motivated desire to actively connect with God, whether it's through worship or reading or acknowledging nature, like I did with the bush. That's something that I still do, and something that I find fulfilling. It's so special to me, and I've not been able to find that level of intimacy and connection in any other part of my life. So I don't know if God put that desire in me. I don't know if it's God chasing me down. I just don't know. It's syncopated. I know God doesn't need me, but sometimes it feels like we need each other. And like I say, I'm sure God can do without me, but I know he wants that relationship with me. And knowing that, it gives my soul an excitement. So of course I want to be with him back. Can
I ask you to elaborate on what you've just said of, I know that he wants me? Can you just share what you mean by that?
Okay, I distinctly remember the day that I realized God loved me. And it sounds ridiculous, growing up in a Christian home, going to church my entire life, and I was in my late 20s when I realized that God loved me. And it broke me to the point that I couldn't stop crying, because for the first time that I could actually remember, I knew that God wanted me. He didn't want me if I did X or if I did Y. He didn't want me only on my good days, but don't bother on bad days. He didn't want me so long as everybody around me liked me. None of those things were a factor. It didn't matter if I had committed the most heinous crime on this earth. I knew that he loved me. And I don't have a practical way of explaining that. All I know is it felt like my heart exploded and he came in it. And from that point on, I've never doubted it. I've never doubted it. It was a long time to get to that point, but once that revelation had happened, I couldn't undo it ever.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You put here in your book, even though I may lose my way and wander, he will always find me. I may stumble, fall, and be injured, but I will always be healed. I may come against things that will overpower me and block my path, but he will always rescue me. All I need to do is call on him.
And that's the truth. That has been the truth. So, and I hope I've expressed it well in my book, in that for every dark and dangerous and humiliating and horrific thing that I describe, it's never without hope, because somewhere in that, God is. He comes to you when you're in the dark. I was actually chuckling a couple of months ago, and I was talking to my daughter. I think I'd sent her to the shop or something like that. And she's like, oh, I don't like going in the dark by myself because we've got wintertime dark evenings. And I just had to say to her, I says, I'm not scared of the dark. I've never been scared of the dark. And she kind of looked at me like, surely you have. I'm like, no. I said, I enjoy the dark. And it's not that I like dark and scary things, but what my life has done repeatedly is showed me that when I'm in those dark places, God comes to you in those dark places. There is no space that we can occupy where God won't come and find us.
Wow.
Amen to that. Amen to that.